Today's agenda, we're going to have some discussions about downloading tests, updating the expiration dates, workmanship entry, updating student names, and downloading certificates. And we're also going to give you a reminder at the end. So with that, I am going to turn this webinar over to Amy Wright. And again, thank you for joining.
Thank you, Ayana. So as Ayana's already mentioned, and as we can see on the screen, we are going to be going through a number of different items today. These items are representative of a lot of the things that we see coming in through JIRA and a lot of the questions that we receive through our certification phone line. Again, if you have any questions as we're going through any of these, please use your chat box to provide those questions, and at the end of the presentation, we will go over your questions. Also, just a reminder too is at the end of the presentation, you will be presented with a survey. I do encourage you to fill out that survey. It's just going to let us know if you found it useful and what you would like to hear about in the future. So to begin, we're going to go ahead and jump over to downloading tests. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this presentation and jump over to our certification portal. I'm going to go ahead and get signed in. And for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and start the download. So I'm going to use this is a feature for online print tests. So I'm going to go ahead and get a class scheduled for us, and then we'll see how we can download the exams. So I've signed in and I've clicked on View Edit Classes, which we're all familiar with. It is turning here at the top, so I'm just waiting for it to open. It does take it some time just because I load everybody's classes with my login. So now that it's ready, I'm going to go ahead and click on Enter New Class and enter in my class details. Because we're also going to be covering some workmanship, I'm going to also do some workmanship. I'm going to schedule a class that requires workmanship. So I'm going to do, with my trainer, I selected Amy 1 test. Because I'm a certification program administrator, I can select any trainer at my site. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a CIS class, and we're going to do J Standard. I'm going to do my language as English, and my revision will be Rev E. Because I do need to get a workmanship class in here, I'm going to go ahead and have Module 1 and Module 2 selected. Then I'm going to come down here to the bottom where it says Exam Type. I'm going to select Online Print. This is where the download tests come into play. My start date is reflective of the day that I would like to print, or excuse me, that I would like to download the exams, and my end date is going to be reflective of the last day that I plan for my class to be testing, when I plan to enter in the dates and then submit my class to IPC. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to do my end date for today as well. I will then select my invoice. This is the invoice that is associated with my order when I place my exams with the customer service department. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on Add. Now that I've added my class details, I'll review this for accuracy. If I have no changes, I'll go ahead and enroll my student. If I do have changes, I click on Edit Class and make any appropriate changes to any of the above fields. I'm going to go ahead and enroll my students. I'm going to do 2 students. So for my first one, I'll go ahead and do a name search. Click on my student's name, and I'll see that my student was successfully added to my class. Like I'm speaking faster than the browser's moving here. All right, so here I get the message that my student was successfully added. Then I'll go ahead and add another student to my class. Click on her name to get her added. And then again, I'll see that she was also added to my class successfully. I return to class details so that I can see not just the class that I scheduled, but here at the bottom we can see the students that I have enrolled in my class. Now we have a few different ways that we can download the test. Here at the top, I have this button. It lets me download the test. This will download the test for all students. Here, we'll do the same thing where it says download test. I can also download test by test. Notice I didn't say module by module because module 1, as we see here, has 2 different tests, an open and a closed. So I can download test by test, or I can download student by student. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and click download test so that we can retrieve it for all of our students. Once this is done, you can see down here that my test is now available. I click this to open it up. It comes in a zip file, and I have the test for both of my students. By clicking on the test, I can then download and or print as needed. Save and or print as needed. And this is the test that I'll provide to my student. Now, let's say this is a CIS student that is, we're going to now move on to updating the expiration date. So if my CIS student is on an extension, we notice that here, when I go to enter in their information, grades, I click on their name to get to their grade screen. When I enter in the information and note that she had successfully passed the test, if I click on save, and I'm not doing workmanship yet, but if I just click on save, we're going to see the date for the expiration date is going to be 2 years from the exam date. But if Sharonda is on an extension, that date is not accurate. So let me go ahead and enter in the values here as well so we can get that information. All right, so we see she has an expiration date of September 2018, but Sharonda's actually on an extension. Her previous expiration was August of 2016, so her new expiration date should be August of 2018. So to get that information provided to IPC, I'm going to list that comment here in the comment box and just say expiration, or I can say student on extension. Expiration is August 20. The day doesn't matter because certificates always expire the last day of the month. So to make sure I save that comment, I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. So if we have any information that needs to be provided to IPC, this is where it's going to happen. There's some information that you won't be able to update. Expiration for CIS students is going to be one of them. So if you need to update that information because the student is on an extension, it would come here into the comment box. Other information that you can provide in the comment box would be company changes. So if Sharonda was previously at a different company and she just recently moved to IPC, I would also be able to provide that information here in the comment box. Once your class is submitted, those comments get provided to IPC and we update those. We make any changes according to the comments you have provided. Hopefully I didn't move too fast on that. Again, if you have any questions on that, please chat box. We're now going to move to workmanship. So as we noted, I have scheduled this J-Standard class and I included Module 2 because workmanship is a component of that module. To enter in workmanship, I go ahead and click on the pencil to enter in the grade. Now, if this is an online exam, the grade will already be here, so I won't have to enter it. But for both online exams and for online print, I am also required to enter in whether, or to provide IPC with whether or not that student has successfully completed their work. So here we can see that workmanship is required, so this lets us know if we need to do it or not. Notice that it's not required for Module 1. On the next column, we have workmanship task. So to let IPC know whether or not it was complete, you have this drop-down arrow, and you either say they passed or they failed. In this case, we'll say that Sharonda has passed the workmanship. I save that information, and now that module will be noted as having successfully completed both the workmanship portion and the exam portion of the test. That fixes us for workmanship. Now we move on to updating the student's name. In the event that you've made a typo, so you added a new student to the class, and you noticed that when you typed in the information, you did it in all lowercase. And when you received the student certificate, the certificate was then in all lowercase, and that's not how you want it. Or in other cases, maybe Sharonda got married and her name is now different. So what you do to update that information is we have the certificate name field here. So let me just move my screen down. Maybe you can see this better. So right here, you have Sharonda's name, and over here you have the certificate name field. You can edit the name, Sharonda's name, with the certificate name field by clicking on the pencil to the right of her name, and now we see that we can update this column. So if Sharonda's name is now Mitch, let's say, I click on the check mark to save the information. Now her name is still Sharonda Mitchell, but Sharonda Mitch is what is going to print on her certificate. When the class gets submitted to IPC, we'll know that the certificate, we'll see the difference in the certificate name and update her name according to what is listed in the certificate name. Now, that brings us to downloading certificates. So to download certificates, I have, again, two different options. I can download the certificate by clicking the button here, or I can download it by clicking on the individual certificate number. So if Angela had her scores had been entered, I would have been able to click her certificate number to get her just her certificate, or Sharonda's just to get hers. I click down to retrieve it for all students registered in the class. Again, when I do this, it's going to download the information and provide me with the certificates in a zip file. So here we see that my download is complete down here at the bottom. I open it up, and here I have the certificate, and notice the name is now Sharonda Mitch. So if I had already retrieved my certificates, I can still go back. As long as the class has not been submitted, I can come back and update that certificate name so I can make sure that it is printed as desired. You also have the option to download the certificates after you complete the class, after you submit the class. So if you've submitted to IPC, you did download the certificates, but you gave one copy to the student, forgot to save one for your own records, you would then be able to come back into your submitted classes to, again, download the test either student by student by clicking on the certificate number or just clicking on the download certificate button. One thing to note, jumping all the way back to the beginning when I was talking about downloading tests, the option to download tests is only going to be available within your start and your end date. So if it's past the end date, you will not have the option to download tests. If you need to modify that, if your class was rescheduled for any reason, you would click Edit Class and then modify the end date as needed. So that took us through all of our Hot Topics sessions that Hot Topics items that we had for today. There are a few others that I do want to go over with you, or just a couple reminders that I just want to go over with you. So in speaking of the download tests, just a reminder, tests are only available for download between the class start and end date, and you can edit that date if needed. On updating expiration dates, the expiration date will be updated in our system after the class is submitted. So if you made that comment to IPC, then we will update it after the class is submitted. For your workmanship, remember to click on the check mark to save your changes. If you do not click on the check mark, that change will not be saved. And for your student name updates, one thing that I didn't mention in the demonstration is IPC, in our database, we can only record Latin characters. But if you have non-Latin characters, so some Chinese characters, or sometimes you have the O with the 2 dots at the top, if you have any students who that's their formal name, you can include those non-Latin characters in the certificate name field, so that you can get their certificate printed with that information. We will not put their name in the database with those non-Latin characters, but you can at least get their certificate printed with that information. And the downloading of the certificates is available both pre-submission and post-submission. One thing that I would like to remind people, so again, as I mentioned, when I go and view edit classes, I'm able to see everybody's classes. One thing I've noticed is we have quite a few classes from 2015. These classes need to be submitted. All classes need to be submitted to IPC within 1 week of the completion of those tests. If for any reason you can't submit the class or don't need to submit the class because it was submitted prior, or there's something else that happened and you would like us to delete that class, please let us know. And you can do that with a help desk ticket. So if you do need help, how to get IPC certification assistance these are all the resources that we have. So we have our frequently asked questions that is available, and let me just show you just in case you are unaware. The frequently asked questions is located right here at the top. So under help, you have the frequently asked questions. So if you have anything that you would like to see if it's already been answered, you can come here to get that information. You can also use our knowledge base. So the knowledge base is available in the help desk. And just to give you an idea of how that looks, if you come here to the certification help desk and you log in, and you can say, what do you need help with? So if I say online, I'll get some information regarding online tests. So if I say, let me just give an example here. It'll come up if I do this. So if I give my summary online tests, we can see here on our knowledge base, it starts to provide us with that information. And this is where you can also search for additional assistance. And then also, we have our help desk, so you can always pose a question directly in the help desk. Our IPC website provides with general training, and if you would like to contact us, the contact information is listed here at the bottom. With that, that closes our presentation for today. So I would like to open it up and invite you to ask us any questions that you have.
Amy, I have a question that came in from Marta. Is it mandatory to print the CIS certificate and sign it to validate it?
Absolutely. Certificates is what determines that they've actually completed it. Without the instructor's signature on there, we're saying that you're pretty much saying that you don't think that they've completed everything that's required for there. Your signature on that certificate says that they have met all of the requirements. And the certificate should also be provided to the student. Do we have any additional questions?
All right. Thank you. I don't have any in the chat box. but we can give our audience just a few minutes. There is another question. Can we have a copy of the slides? Yes, you can have a copy of the slides, and if you want some of the handouts that actually show you what Amy went through, they're available for download in the handouts tab of this webinar, and they will be sent out and added to our portal as well.
Additional questions?
Another question came in from Elizabeth. I recently gave IPC A610 CIS Rev F. There was only one test for modules 1 and 2. She's confused. Should it be open book or closed?
Module 1 and 2 for 610 is now, 610 Rev F is now only a single open book test. Module Rev E did have 2 different tests, but now with Rev F it's only one single test, one open book test for modules 1 and 2. So that just covers your introductory information, what you need to know about the 610 standard, as well as some of the IPC policies and procedures.
Thank you, Amy. And Elizabeth thanks you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have another question from Susan. Please explain where you go to get the slides, because this is my first webinar.
After we're done with this, so tomorrow, all attendees will receive a zip file containing the handouts. So the handouts are currently available in the webinar, where you can download them now if you wish. But we'll also include them in the follow-up email tomorrow. A link of the recording will also be included in that email, as will the presentation, the actual PowerPoint.
Thank you, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And Amy, can you explain the survey again? Because we really like to have survey participants for this webinar to give some feedback.
Yes, so at the close, so once we close off this webinar, you're going to be presented on your screen with 2 survey questions. Just keeping it simple. 1, was it helpful? And 2, what you would like to hear about in the future. So before you exit and close your browser, please answer those questions.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, I don't see any additional questions. If you do have some questions for us after this webinar, please feel free to email us directly at certification@ipc.org.
Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, everyone.
Right.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.